Currently, WSG offers a professional conversion program that seeks to enable mid-career PMETs to undergo skills conversion into new occupations or sectors, as well as skills future credits for all Singaporeans to prepare themselves for potential career transitions. Skills Future and the PCP received a further boost under the Jobs Growth Incentive announced in August 2020, where the government committed to co-pay half for those aged over 40 of the salaries. In a world where changing technology, continued globalization, and environmental considerations mean that jobs displacement and structural unemployment is liable to become more pervasive, co-funded PCPs of this nature will take on an increasing importance in helping our economy evolve into the competitive landscape of the future. Yet while we have some anecdotal evidence of the program's benefits, a resident employer I know shares, for example, of a number of successful placements, we have less systematic evidence that there is proactive re-employment of recently displaced workers. Currently, the JGI is applicable for up to 1 year for hires commencing in September 2020 onward. This sort of certainty for both employer and employee is critical. From the employer's perspective, it is effectively co-insurance for a risky hire, since the potential employee's ability to adapt and perform in a new role is largely unknown. From the employee's perspective, it is insurance of a different kind. The promise of a job, even if it is only guaranteed for a year, is a solid incentive to be willing to undergo uncertain and often painful retraining. Given the inherent complementarities between the PCP and JGI, I wonder whether co-funding support can be made more permanent. I would even go as far as to venture that the PCP be paired not just with co-funding, but to suggest that the program become a natural extension of a more holistic unemployment insurance program, which commences from the point of redundancy. The Workers' Party had previously suggested the contours of such a redundancy insurance system, which I will not repeat here. However, I am making the case to further incorporate unemployment insurance, given how it is a natural complement to the PCP JGI program. Such an extended program is not unprecedented elsewhere. Sweden's job security councils, for instance, receive not just standard unemployment benefits, but also financial compensation to assist in the job transition. The system seeks to provide security for a job, just not necessarily the job that you originally trained for. Denmark's flexi-security encourages low-cost, flexible hiring and firing, but displaced workers receive unemployment support alongside retraining and re-education programs. And Germany recently refashioned its National Unemployment Agency to become more of a job-matching entity that issues not only career advice, but also vouchers to finance retraining costs. The underlying principle behind these efforts is clear. There is a natural end-to-end complementarity between unemployment insurance on one hand and retraining and reintegration into the workforce on another. Of course, there are perennial concerns and that has to do with costs, but redundancy insurance can be made a self-financing system heavily supported by workers' own contributions and perhaps by some government top-up with a recurring revenue. Singapore already has most of the elements of an end-to-end job safety net in place, including the functional equivalent of unemployment insurance, which was widely deployed over the course of the COVID-19 crisis via a number of relief schemes and support grants. All that is lacking is a willingness to institutionalize this approach and ensure that the system is cohesive so that Singaporeans unfortunate enough to be displaced from the jobs that they previously prepared for also receive the support and guidance they need in the tough labour market.
Since 2016, we have facilitated over 34,000 placements or redeployments through WSG's career conversion programs. Before 2020, WSG placed on average 5,000 annually. Last year, we placed over 13,000, including a spike in redeployments. This year, despite more subdued employer interest, we have catered capacity for 10,000 places. Contrary to Dr. Jamus Lim's suggestion, the professional conversion programs have well-documented outcomes. about 90% of the participants remain employed after 18 months. About 7 in 10 earned more than their last drawn. Mr. Desmond Chu and Dr. Lim can be assured that such conversion programs will remain a core feature of our system of employment support. As for the JGI, this remains an extraordinary measure. Employers should not delay their local hiring in the hope that the JGI will be available indefinitely. I hope Dr. Lim agrees that some urgency on the part of employers helps job seekers. At the same time, I hope employers take note of the enhanced support when they hire mature workers, persons with disabilities, and ex-offenders. As noted by members Mr. Yip Hon Wing, Ms. Ng Ling Ling, and Mr. Eric Chua, these job seekers face greater difficulties. This is why we will provide 50% support for the first 6,000 of gross monthly wages for up to 18 months. Altogether, employers can receive up to $54,000 for each eligible hire. Even with the substantial support provided under the JGI, we are realistic that not all employers can expand hiring. This is why we have extended the SG United traineeships and SG United mid-career pathways and skills programs for all unemployed job seekers. Until a suitable job materializes, these traineeships and attachments are the best way to be supported. I thank Dr. Lim for recognizing that, and I quote him, Singapore already has most of the elements of an end-to-end safety net in place, including the functional equivalent of unemployment insurance. Close quote. Professor Hun thoughtfully highlighted the irony of unemployment insurers in heightening or even prolonging unemployment. NTUC also recognizes its limitations. Unemployment or redundancy insurance, which Ms. Dr. Lim also calls for, can indeed provide useful income relief. But they cannot replace efforts to help people get back to work. Insurance payouts may also not match the allowances we are providing. Many unemployed persons will not qualify for any redundancy payout. They include new graduates just entering the workforce, workers who were dismissed, whose contracts ended and were not renewed. Nonetheless, we agree with Mr. Patrick Tay not to foreclose these options. MOM will continue to study their merits.